Imagine a world that doesn't exist on any modern map, a world that thrived before the oceans rose, before the mountains took their shape, before history even began. A world filled with cities made of crystal, towers touching the clouds, and knowledge so advanced that today's science can barely comprehend it. But one day, it was all erased, not by time, not by war, but by a flood so catastrophic it reshaped the face of the earth forever. They told us this was just a myth, a story told in ancient texts. But what if I told you it was real? That the flood wasn't just a fable, it was history. And the ruins, the fossils, the strange maps, the unexplained artifacts, they're all screaming one truth. The world before the flood was real. Before you decide what to believe, remember, everything you've been taught about ancient history might be a carefully crafted lie. Like this video. Subscribe to Ancient Light, because what you're about to hear will change how you see human history forever. Thousands of years ago, Earth was a completely different planet. The continents were arranged differently. Massive forests stretched across what are now deserts. Giant animals roamed freely. Mammoths, saber-toothed cats, enormous sloths the size of cars. But more shockingly, humans were already here. Not the primitive cave dwellers we were taught about, but builders, astronomers, and engineers. From the mountains of Turkey to the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, evidence suggests there once existed a global civilization, united, advanced, and connected. Ancient maps, like the Piri Reis map, drawn long before Antarctica was discovered, show coastlines that were only visible before they were covered in ice. How could ancient people have drawn those maps without satellites? The answer lies in what many call the antediluvian world, the civilization that existed before the Great Flood. Every major culture on Earth, from the Sumerians and Egyptians to the Mayans, Hindus, and even Native Americans, tells the same story: a golden age of humanity destroyed by a massive flood. The details vary, but the core remains identical. Mankind grew powerful, arrogant, and corrupt. Then the skies darkened, the earth split open, and water consumed everything. In the Bible, it's the flood of Noah. In the Quran, the story of Prophet Noah. In Hindu texts, it's the flood that washed away the world of Manu. The Sumerians wrote about Ziusudra, a man chosen to build a massive boat, and in ancient Greece, it was Deucalion who survived the deluge. Different names, same event. Coincidence? Or global memory of a single world-altering disaster? Geologists now believe that around 12,000 years ago, something extraordinary happened. An event scientists call the Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis. A series of massive comet fragments struck the Earth, melting ice sheets, raising sea levels by hundreds of feet, and triggering one of the greatest floods in planetary history. But here's where it gets even stranger. Archaeological evidence from places like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a megalithic site older than Stonehenge, suggests human civilization didn't begin after the flood. It was rebuilt after it. Think about that. A 12,000-year-old temple, carved with precision tools, aligned with the stars, existing before humans supposedly invented farming. Göbekli Tepe shouldn't exist, but it does. So the real question isn't if there was a flood. It's, what did we lose when it happened? Across the world, underwater ruins are being discovered that rewrite everything we know. In the Bay of Cambay, off India's coast, sonar scans have revealed the outlines of massive cities, complete with streets, walls, and pyramids now lying 120 feet beneath the waves. In the Caribbean, strange geometric patterns beneath the ocean have led explorers to believe that Atlantis, the mythical city Plato describes, might have been real after all. And then there's the Bimini Road in the Bahamas, a perfectly laid stone path under the sea, too symmetrical to be natural. When divers first discovered it, they thought it was coincidence. But when carbon dating revealed its age, scientists fell silent. The pattern repeats again and again, evidence of cities, roads, and monuments that existed before they should have. So, who built them? The survivors of the lost world before the flood. These people, according to ancient Sumerian tablets, were called the Anunnaki, beings of great knowledge, who descended from the heavens and civilized mankind after the flood. But maybe they weren't gods. Maybe they were remnants of a pre-flood civilization, humans so advanced that when they returned, the survivors saw them as divine. Imagine the flood wipes out 90% of humanity. The few who survive are left in chaos. Then, a group arrives carrying advanced technology, knowledge of the stars, mathematics, and agriculture. To the survivors, they would have seemed like gods. That's why nearly every ancient culture speaks of sky gods who came down after a great disaster to rebuild civilization. But here's the chilling part. What caused that flood may happen again. Scientists studying ice core samples from Greenland and Antarctica have found patterns, cycles of catastrophic climate change that repeat roughly every 12,000 years. The last one, around 11,600 years ago, the exact date of the Great Flood. And guess what? We're approaching that timeline again. Massive meltwater pulses, unpredictable weather, rising sea levels. Sound familiar? It's as if history itself is repeating. What if our modern civilization, with all its technology and arrogance, is walking the same path the pre-flood world did? What if the flood wasn't punishment, but a reset? Even more disturbing are the forbidden discoveries that mainstream science refuses to discuss in South Africa. Ancient gold mines dating back 100,000 years. In Bolivia, perfectly drilled stone blocks with laser-like precision. In Egypt, erosion patterns on the Sphinx that suggest it's thousands of years older than the pyramids. And deep in the ocean near Yonaguni, Japan, a massive stepped pyramid beneath the waves. All these sites share one thing: they were once above water. If we piece all these clues together, a picture begins to form. The pre-flood Earth was a unified, thriving civilization, global in scope, interconnected by knowledge and trade, and wiped out in one night of terror. Don't think about the myths, the gods angry at man's corruption, the heavens opening, the fountains of the deep bursting. Fourth, these are not poetic metaphors, they're eyewitness descriptions of an event so devastating that it scarred humanity's memory forever. Ancient survivors encoded the truth into religion, myth, and monuments. Every pyramid, ziggurat, and temple points upward to the sky as if reminding us of what came before and warning what could come again. For centuries, institutions have suppressed these truths, calling them myths, heresy, or pseudo-history, because if humanity ever realized we've been here before, that we were once more advanced, more unified, and then destroyed, it would shake the very foundation of modern civilization. But you deserve to know the truth. The flood was real. The world before it was real, and maybe we're its descendants. The oceans hide our past, but not forever. As the ice melts and new coastlines emerge, pieces of the old world are returning. Every discovery brings us closer to remembering who we were, so the next time you look at the ocean, remember, beneath those waves lies an entire forgotten world. A world that once thrived, with light, beauty, and knowledge beyond imagination. And maybe, just maybe, the flood wasn't the end of that world. It was the beginning of ours. Before you go, hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning. On Ancient Light, we don't repeat what's written in history books, we uncover what was erased from them, because the truth was never lost. It was buried,